What up? I'm Bea and welcome to my channel where we talk about YouTube drama and current events. Today we're going to be talking about Gabbie Hanna's video titled I'm Back, in parentheses, Why I Left, Why I'm Scared for My Life, the Shadow Ban, and everything else. She put the video out about a week ago and it is a pretty lengthy one. There's a lot of stuff in there. It's about 45 minutes long, so you can imagine how much info goes into that, and this is no shade. As somebody who makes really long videos most of the time myself, I understand that not everybody has the time to watch it, not everybody wants to spend an hour watching something like that, and so we talked about the video a little bit in my live from last Thursday. I'll put a card up here if you missed it. We went into it a little bit, but the general consensus kind of was I either don't want to or cannot spend the time watching this. Can you go over it? So I did get kind of all of the main points put together. The notes even on the main points are a little bit lengthy, but I think I can condense the content down enough to make this a reasonably short video. So if you're used to my longer videos and you prefer those, I'm sorry, today's one is going to be pretty quick because that's the point. So Gabbie started out the video talking about how a lot of people in her family are still getting hate, and that includes, you know, her siblings as well as her boyfriend Peyton. It was just getting really overwhelming. It was, you know, that's a difficult thing to deal with, and the family getting flack is something I don't understand. I just don't get it. Like, they did not choose to be on the internet. So the people who are subscribed to my channel, I know you guys probably aren't going out of your way to harass members of her family, but if you're not a subscriber, I just want to put it out there that her family did not ask to be part of this. Her family did not ask to be wrapped up in everything going on with Gabbie. So as much as you may disagree with her, it really is crossing a line when you then go to somebody else who has not chosen this. At the end of the day, she's the one who put herself on the internet, on her YouTube channel. This is about her. It's not about her family. We don't need to harass them. We don't need to DM them hateful things. It's just, it's too far. It's crossing a line. Peyton getting harassment, I don't agree with anybody being harassed, but I do understand why he would be getting a lot of attention because he does step in, and I think as a partner, you would want to step in if you saw people being mean to them. Like I said, I don't agree with anybody getting harassed, but I do understand that he will get some backlash for the things he says because he is choosing to put himself out there on the internet and get involved. So I think that's one thing that's just going to have to be expected within the territory of the entire situation. The next thing Gabbie talked about was her move to LA, and she talked about several different people under this topic, but she said, I don't want to point out any genders, I don't want to use any names, so I will be using they, them, and you know, at some point I may be talking about a collective group of people, and at some point I may be talking about a single person, but I don't want to put their names out there for everything. I just want to share my experience. And so a lot of people are speculating. I mean, I don't even know if it's speculation if you know how Gabbie ended up moving out here and what she was doing and who she was living with when she first moved out here. But the consensus is this group of people is at the very least made up of Jessie Smiles, Alex James, and Jen Dent. In my opinion, I'm not going to say for a fact that that's who she's talking about, but like that was who she was talking about. Anyway, she said when she first moved out here, she didn't have a lot of money. She was going to try and get a roommate, and she had a very toxic group of friends that she did not realize were toxic at the time. She said that they were very mentally abusive and it even got physical at some points. She said that they would kind of give her backhanded compliments in terms of, at one point a fan came up and recognized Gabbie and she was really excited, and one of her friends said, "Ugh, you're so lucky that you look so unique. I'm just like a classically pretty person, so I don't stick out in a crowd." And she essentially just said that it got to a point where these friends were approaching other people who had shown interest in being friends with Gabbie, telling them that she was a terrible person, talking all sorts of mess about her, and essentially trying to convince people that Gabbie was the worst. Now, I don't know if this happened. Again, everything that I am telling you is from what Gabbie said. I cannot confirm the legitimacy of any of these things, but this is what was said in her video. She was staying with a friend for free because this friend had said, hey, when you come out here, you can stay with me till you get your stuff figured out, like it's no big deal. But then the friend was very strict and wouldn't give Gabbie a key, and so Gabbie had a curfew as an adult woman living with a friend, which is ridiculous if true. And the friend would constantly threaten to kick Gabbie out. And so it was just a very toxic situation, a very toxic friendship. And Gabbie has said that these people who were in this friendship with her are still trying to ruin all of her big moments. She said that they have been running a smear campaign for years, and they are essentially trying their best to inhibit her success from her point of view. And all of this kind of came to a head a few months ago when Gabbie went on her Twitter rampage and her live streaming rampage. I think she was at a spot where, this is my opinion, she was just feeling like she didn't know what to do. And I'm not saying that I condone her actions or the things she said or the things that she allows her fans to get away with, because you can't control people. But I've always said, you set the precedent for how the people who watch you act. It was a whole mess. There was just chaos everywhere. Gabbie was constantly on Twitter, constantly responding to people. She did a bunch of live streams. She potentially doxed another creator. And I think part of it was her getting to a point where she didn't know what to do. Yes, I think she caused a lot of the mess that was going on, but I also think there are people out there who don't want to see Gabbie succeed, who do have sort of a vendetta against her, or think it is personally their job to make sure that she's always reminded of all the terrible things that she has either done or been accused of doing. You know, she said her mental health wasn't the best. She was in a bit of a manic episode for those few days, and eventually she did have to go offline, which I think is a smart decision, because when you're in that state, you can't think clearly and you might not make the best decisions. But what I'm trying to get at is, this is when it came to a head. This is when all of the years of tension and resentment and backstabbing on both sides, in my opinion, on both sides it was happening, came to a head. Gabbie didn't know what to do, and this is the point that she felt she was driven to with the tweets and the live streams and all that. So while Gabbie was taking her break, she put together a video with screenshots, text messages, emails, threats of violence against her, and basically this was going to be her bombshell, I guess, proving that this group of people was in fact out to get her, and in her mind, they were the ones who were kind of continuing to agitate the situation. She didn't want to keep engaging, but they would not rest. And so she put this whole thing together, sent it to an editor, and then when she got it back, she watched it and was like, wow, I'm obsessed. Like, this isn't okay. This isn't who I want to be. And she decided not to put it out. It was after this that Gabbie claims her manager and her friends convinced her to file a lawsuit, and she said that this process was going on for several months because they had so much to put together for the lawsuit, and the entire time she was feeling very hesitant about it, but she was going along with it because she just wanted all of this to finally come to an end. And then before the lawyer ended up serving papers to the people that they were going to be filing a suit against, he said, essentially, I'm a lawyer, I love suing people, but when we go to court for this, it's going to take at least 2 to 3 years. So are you good with that happening? And according to Gabbie, she thought about it for 20 seconds and said, no, I don't want to do this. Now, we talked about this a lot in the live stream because I don't understand this logic. Some people did make a good point about how it can just be very taxing. Like the idea of doing that might cost more money than it's worth. It might cause a lot of distress. It's going to take a lot of time. It's going to be something that you have to put a lot of focus and attention on. And I do understand that, but in this situation specifically, I feel like that is the only way this is going to end. Because according to Gabbie, she has tried ignoring these people. She's tried fighting back against these people, and neither approach has worked. So when she was ignoring them, they still, according to her, continued to, poke the fire. And when she responded back to them, it just got more intense. I believe at least one of the people she would be suing would be Jessie Smiles because of context clues. That's just my assumption. And I like Jessie. I like Jessie more than I like Gabbie. I like Jessie's content more than I like Gabbie's content. But I will say that there is a bit of a pattern of not really seeing much activity from Jessie, and then when something goes down with Gabbie, there she is on Twitter, there she is posting videos sometimes, not always, this is a bit more of a recent pattern, but it just seems like the timing is very convenient. I feel very strongly that there are very few coincidences in the world, and so maybe it's just the timing lines up and it's coincidental and you know, who knows? But I also kind of feel like I know that Jessie is still very much hurt by her friendship with Gabbie, and so it wouldn't surprise me if the timing was a little bit calculated. In any case, at this point, their friendship was back in 2014. We are in 2020 right now. We're about to be going into the end of the year. And if that group of people is as committed to harassing Gabbie as Gabbie claims they are, she's not done anything to change that. They are going to continue to act as they have been acting for the past 6 years. And if Gabbie really does want her name cleared and she wants, more importantly, the harassment to end, she has to do something about it because the public perception of Gabbie is overwhelmingly negative from what I've seen. A lot of people stand with Jessie. A lot of people don't believe Gabbie, and they don't believe that she is a victim whatsoever in the entire situation. And so the public's opinion, I feel, is not going to be changed by this video. And anything short of taking legal action, I don't think will stop the people who are harassing her if they have been steadily harassing her for the past 6 years, because they're clearly not over it and they haven't gotten what they wanted out of the situation. So in my opinion, if she legitimately has a case, I think it would be smart to go forward with it to really put it all to an end. I understand that taking the next 2 or 3 years of your life to do this doesn't sound like a lot of fun, but it could be best for your overall mental health and your career, because according to Gabbie, they've damaged her career. Next, Gabbie went over some unsettling incidents that have happened over the past year, and I won't get too much into them because there wasn't too much detail given, but she had just said that she was in fear for her life because there has been some hacking going on in terms of her phone and her security system. At one point, she had left to go to the grocery store but had to turn back around, and when she got back, there was a man outside of her house with his trunk open and like computers in the back, and he was working on something. They, her and Peyton pulled into the driveway, went inside, and then Peyton went out and the guy was gone. And so she said it could be something unrelated, but it was really sketchy and it was really scary. She also talked about how she has been dealing with an obsessive fan for the past few years who is just, how do I say it nicely, violating some personal boundaries and lying about things that are really, really sick and disturbing and should not be lied about. And I don't know why this person would tell the lies that they told, because that's something that they know is going to hurt Gabbie. So I don't know why they did it. But one of the incidents with this fan is that this fan, who is an adult woman, according to Gabbie, got kind of in with a 13-year-old, and they set up this lie where the 13-year-old was being abused by her father, and she was terrified for her life, and she couldn't call the police, and she didn't know what to do. And it really, I mean, thinking about anybody in that situation is really horrifying, but especially when you are one-on-one engaging with the person who it's happening to, that's extremely traumatic. So they ended up having to call the authorities and get that figured out, and Gabbie told a few more anecdotes, but essentially it seems from her video that there are a few different people and a few different parties contributing to her fear. One of them, she said, is somebody who is very, very wealthy, who she has some undercover information on, and she said, you know, I never told anybody I had this information. I never said I was going to do anything with it. I didn't even think about it, but this person is extremely wealthy, and I was warned that they were going to try to break into my stuff, like my computer, my phone, my iCloud, to get that information back. And she has screenshots and backups of all of her text messages on her phone, and when she goes to the day that the person told her to get backups of everything, all of her text messages from that day are gone, and so she doesn't know what this person is willing to do to keep her quiet about that info, and they have a lot of resources and they are very influential. So that is scary, combined with the guy outside, combined with her security cameras getting hacked, all that stuff. You know, I do think that this is a believable thing. I think a lot of people might kind of dismiss it, but this does happen in Hollywood, and as we've seen, behind the scenes of YouTube is very similar to Hollywood. There are a lot of people who have a lot of money and a lot of influence, and just because maybe the YouTubers that we watch don't conform to that doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. Now on to the next topic in the video, the infamous shadow ban. Gabbie says that in 2018, her YouTube channel was quote-unquote restricted, and that essentially resulted in a major loss of income because it kind of starts this cycle where a lot of the drama was popping off. I've never noticed this on my channel before, but I also don't have a lot of hateful or like vulgar comments on my videos. I don't have a lot of swear words in my comments, so I don't know how true this is, but I have heard that depending on what is in your comment section, YouTube can look at that and determine that because of what's in the comment section, your video is not advertiser friendly and your video should be suppressed instead of sent out to even more people or boosted into even more people. You know, those people who are on your YouTube homepage because YouTube's recommending them to you even if you've never heard of them before or you're not subscribed. You know, YouTube does go by engagement, and so apparently if you're getting positive engagement, they're going to send it out, and if you are getting engagement in the form of comments calling her a rape apologist or telling her to kill herself, these hate comments are then used to say this is a bad video, we're not going to send it out. And so when that happens and your YouTube channel is deemed as being restricted because it's not safe content or family-friendly content, then you get less ads because YouTube doesn't want to put ads on a video that they're not going to send out. And then in return, your views are going to be less, and so YouTube does favor larger channels in some cases, and they put more ads on channels that are getting a lot of views or videos that are getting a lot of engagement. But because they've already determined that her video should not be sent out to as large of an audience as it used to, they're saying, well, this isn't getting as many views as it used to, we're not going to waste advertiser space on your videos. And so it's just kind of this cycle where the creator loses. Even if they're not necessarily in that video or in any of their videos doing something overtly problematic, because of what's in the comment section, it is detrimental to the income. And I say detrimental in a very subjective point of view because I think we all know that Gabbie lives very comfortably despite this supposed restriction in 2018. But when you're used to a certain standard of income and then it is significantly altered in a negative way, it can be a lot to handle, and it can be something that throws a wrench in your plans. If you're self-funding music videos, if you're paying for makeup artists, if you're buying a house, all that stuff, it really can affect it. So I know that Gabbie is by no means on the struggle bus according to the typical American, but that is an adjustment for her, so I do want to give her empathy in that. Gabbie also talked about how this restriction made her feel suicidal, and she reached out to her YouTube rep about it. She wanted to get meetings with people who were higher up at the company and express how, in her eyes, this unfair restriction was having an impact on her life, and YouTube essentially said, according to her, don't talk about it, like deal with it, and if you speak out about it, we're going to pull all support for your channel and you're going to be left out in the dust. And I don't necessarily know how this works. I don't know if YouTube can straight up like ban her channel or delete her content or completely demonetize her for speaking out against them, but we have seen that YouTube doesn't necessarily have a standard set of policies and they kind of do whatever they want. So I could see this happening. Now at this point in the video, Gabbie does talk about some of the false accusations that she feels have been leveled against her, and I'm not gonna go into them because I have a lot of opinions, but we have talked about this quite a bit in some of my other videos, so I'll put links in the comments so that way you can go watch them if you want. They're mostly live streams, but I will try and just kind of wrap up my very broad opinion in the shortest way possible. Gabbie is still focusing on her perception of the accusations, not the general consensus of the accusations. So I don't know if she's doing that to avoid the actual things that we are saying she did wrong that we don't like, or if she really just hasn't taken the time to look into them and comprehend what the most reasonable people are upset about. Because one of the biggest accusations is that she collaborated with a rapist. I have seen that very few times. I've heard about it a lot. I know Gabbie has mentioned it a lot, but most people that I know aren't saying that. They're saying you tweeted at him and you talked to him and you were on friendly terms with him. So we don't like that. We didn't like how you reacted to the news, how you said, hold up, where's my popcorn, how you were very flippant about it. That is what we don't like. But Gabbie is for some reason holding on to the collaboration with the rapist. I know some people think that she did. I know some people are accusing her of that. But from where I stand, the majority of people aren't. And so that's something that's a little bit frustrating because it's like, no, Gabbie, like, you're misunderstanding it. I don't know if it's on purpose or what, but that's not what we're upset about. And so I think she could address some of these things a little bit better if she did have a better understanding of what people were upset about. But she doesn't, and therefore I don't think she addressed them in a way that I would have liked to see. At the same time, you can't make everybody happy, and I know that I'm never going to be 100% fully satisfied with every sort of addressing a situation video that anybody does. So that's just my opinion. Take it or leave it. Now moving on to the closing of Gabbie's video, she talked about how a lot of people tell her she is too sensitive to be a public figure, especially on YouTube, and she said, you know what? I'm sensitive, I catastrophize everything, I already hate myself, so I have no self-esteem, and everything feels like a personal attack. So maybe that's true, but this is what I do in order to support the things that I love. And I don't really know how I feel about that because I understand Gabbie's thought process of, well, I can make a lot of money doing this and then it'll propel me and help me support my real passions. And so, you know, I respect somebody who does what they have to do in order to get the things that they want. But at the same time, if this is such a mental toll on her, is it worth it? I don't know. I can't speak for her. I can't say whether it is or not. And I understand that admitting that it's not worth it would most likely result in her living a very different lifestyle. But at some point, you have to say, yes, money is important, but my emotional health is very important too. And so how do we balance these things out? I don't know the answer. Let me know what you guys think down below. But she said she is going to continue to be on YouTube to support the things that she wants to do. And finally, she said that a lot of people are going to accuse her of just coming back to sell her book and her art, and that is accurate because she enjoyed her time off. She enjoyed not being on social media, not having Twitter, not having to make videos, but she has contracts that she has to fulfill in terms of promoting her book. And that's why she's here, you know? She said that these things don't stop just because she wanted a break. And so straight up, that's why she's back. And honestly, I do respect that. I know that it's not the most tactful thing to say, but I really do value honesty, even if I don't think what you're doing is the greatest thing in the world, or even if it's not something that's like super nice to hear. You know, I'm sure for her fans it would have been nice to hear, I love you guys, I missed you so much, I missed having interactions with you, and so, you know, I took my break, I had a reset, and now I'm back and I'm excited to make content for you. But that would be a lie. It's not the greatest thing to hear that the only reason she's back is because of a contractual obligation, and essentially she's back for money. But truly, I respect the transparency, so good on her for being straight up about it. And that was essentially what her video was about. I know I was a little bit chattier than I thought I would be, but I can't help it. I have opinions, and I had to share them. So forgive me if this is a little bit long, but that's what was in her video. At the end of the day, I think it was fine. I disagree with her approach to certain things in the video, but again, I'm just one person and nobody can make a video that will make every single person happy. This is something that I've been thinking about a lot in terms of holding people accountable and cancel culture and choosing who we support and how we support people on the internet. And I think something that's really important for us to have a conversation about is the fact that it's not our job to make sure that because we don't like somebody, nobody else likes them either. One of you in my live stream said, you know, it's really simple. If you don't like somebody, you don't have to follow them. And I love that. Like, yeah, that makes so much sense. You know, I understand that for a lot of people, the things that Gabbie has said and done were hurtful to them because it applied to their own experiences, especially when Gabbie made the comment about Curtis's friends saying, well, his friends didn't rape you. I 1000% understand how hurtful that would be if you were somebody who had experienced assault before, or who had gone through something similar to Jessie, where, you know, you were assaulted by somebody you knew or somebody you trusted, and then your friend was seemingly friendly with them. Like, I get that that would be so incredibly hurtful to hear. But at the end of the day, it's not our job to tell other people how to feel. And that's kind of the problem I have with a lot of current drama commentary channels. Not all of them, but certain ones put their opinions out there like they are fact and say, this is what it is, even if it's an opinion. And so I always hope that when I talk about things and when I share my opinion, I am making it abundantly clear, this is just how I see it. This is how I feel, and I may be saying it like this is the objective truth, but that's just because it's my subjective truth. It's how I see the situation. And so I am always open to hearing other people's opinions. I like knowing how you perceive things. I don't ever want anything I say to feel like I'm telling other people how to feel. That aside though, the point is, it's not our job to bring somebody else down. It is not our job to cancel people. It is our job to speak out against injustice, to call out bad behavior, to say, you did this thing and it's really not okay, or it was really inappropriate, or it was shady, or it was illegal and we don't like seeing it, and we can bring awareness to that thing. But at the end of the day, people are going to watch who they're going to watch, and it's only going to put more stress on us and be more detrimental to our own time and mental health to put energy into officially canceling somebody, as opposed to just saying, this is my opinion, here's why I don't like this person, and because I don't like them, I'm not going to support them. I'm going to unsubscribe, I'm going to unfollow, I'm not going to watch their content because I don't like them and it makes me mad. And that's it. We have so much power to cut things out of our lives that upset us and stress us out. And I understand that the desire to see justice enacted and the desire to really tell other people, this person did this thing and it was really hurtful and it was really bad, they can't get away with it. I understand that impulse so much. I really do. But there are certain things that we can't change, and you cannot convince every single person in the world to think the exact same way that you do, or support all the same people you do and hate everyone that you hate. So I do just want to put that out there. I get that it's hard to determine where you draw the line and how much effort you are putting into bringing awareness about certain situations, but at some point we just have to say, this is taking up too much of my mental space, like this is not worth my time. Here's how I feel, and now I'm done supporting this person. And have that be it. And along the same lines, I do want us all to remember that we're all people. We're all just humans. We've all made mistakes. We have all done bad things or hurtful things. And most of us have the privilege of not having those things broadcasted to millions of people on YouTube. And so, as terrible as some of the things are that Gabbie has said and done, she's a human and she deserves to be treated as a human. It can be very overwhelming to have that many people telling you that you're trash, no matter who you are. And so I've always held the belief that you can't bully somebody into seeing things from your perspective. You can only say how you feel and do it in a way that is hopefully productive and, you know, if you can, kind. If it's really about correcting the action and not giving hate to the creator, we really have to kind of measure how we approach these situations. I just wanted to leave you with that. That's my opinion, of course. That is just how I feel. I do want to know how you feel about this whole situation though, so definitely go ahead and leave me a comment down below letting me know what you thought about the main points that she presented in her video. If you feel that any of the new information she put out there has changed how you view her, or what your opinion is on her, and whether or not it made it more positive or more negative. And while you're doing that, if you would consider liking this video or subscribing to my channel, that would be incredible. If you've subscribed already, thank you so much. I am so appreciative of you, and I love being able to just sit here, hang out with you, and talk about whatever. Thank you so much for watching. Please be kind to people, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.